Have you ever heard a sentence so heavy that it felt like it reshaped the way you saw yourself as a mother? Something like, "You're just not meant to breastfeed." For a woman in the postpartum period, exhausted, hormonal, vulnerable, and desperately trying to do her best, a sentence like this isn't just a comment, it's a wound. Studies show that up to 70% of breastfeeding difficulties are caused by lack of proper support, not inability. Yet so many mothers walk away believing they failed. If you've ever felt broken, incapable, or convinced that your body wasn't made for this video is for you. And before we dive in, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your engagement helps this message reach more mothers who need this kind of comfort and clarity. It usually happens in a moment when you're already fragile. The baby is crying, your breasts hurt, sleep feels like a distant memory, and you're holding yourself together with the last thread of hope. Then someone walks in, a nurse, a relative, a visitor, even a professional you trust, and says the sentence that will echo in your mind for days, months, sometimes years. Maybe breastfeeding just isn't for you. They may say it casually, softly, even kindly, but for a new mother, it lands like a verdict. In that moment, everything inside you tightens, your heart drops, your confidence collapses. Because postpartum isn't a time when you evaluate things logically, it's a time when you absorb everything emotionally. And when someone with authority or experience tells you that you're not meant for something so natural, so expected, so deeply tied to motherhood, a part of you believes it instantly. That belief doesn't fade. It seeds doubt. It shapes your choices. It changes your story. Doubt never arrives alone in the postpartum period. It brings a whole storm with it. The moment you start believing that maybe you are the problem, something inside you shifts. What was once a physical challenge becomes an emotional battle. Suddenly, every latch that doesn't work feels like proof. Every cry feels like confirmation. Every moment of exhaustion feels like failure. Your mind whispers things you would never say to another mother. Why can't I do this? What's wrong with me? Every other woman seems to manage. Why not me? And the pain is no longer just physical. It's emotional, it's spiritual. It's the kind of pain that sits in your chest and tightens your breath. What many people don't realize is that stress, fear, and insecurity directly affect milk production. The brain is responsible for releasing the hormones, prolactin, and oxytocin, that make breastfeeding possible. When you're overwhelmed or ashamed, your body literally struggles to function the way it should. So instead of seeing a mother who needs support, the world often sees a mother who can't do it. And that misunderstanding cuts deeper than any cracked nipple ever could. This is how doubt turns into not because you're weak, but because you were left alone with a belief that was never true to begin with. Here's the truth most mothers never hear. Breastfeeding is not an instinct. It's a skill, a learned skill, one that depends far more on support, technique, and environment than on some magical maternal ability. Biologically, your body is built to feed your baby, but the process only works smoothly when a few key factors align. 1. Hormones must be supported, not suppressed. 2 hormones lead the show: prolactin, which helps produce milk, oxytocin, which helps release it, but stress, exhaustion, pain, and even fear can reduce both. When someone tells you you're not meant to breastfeed, your body reacts like it's under threat. Muscles tighten, breathing changes, oxytocin drops, and yes, milk flow becomes harder. Not because you can't, but because your body is protecting you from emotional danger. 2. Proper positioning and latch matter more than people admit. Most breastfeeding problems come from one thing: lack of guidance on positioning and latch. That's it. Not bad breasts, not weak milk, not a baby who doesn't like breastfeeding. A small adjustment, the angle, the baby's chin, your arm support can completely change the experience. But very few mothers receive this guidance in a calm, patient, compassionate way. 3. Your environment shapes your success. If a mother is surrounded by rushed professionals, judgmental comments, or pressure to just switch to formula, her brain interprets the environment as unsafe. That alone can shut down milk ejection reflex temporarily. And again, this has nothing to do with her capability. 4. Mother and baby are learning together. Your newborn doesn't arrive knowing how to breastfeed perfectly. You don't become an expert overnight. You are two human beings in the most intense learning curve of your lives, adjusting, trying, failing, trying again. Yet society acts like, if it isn't perfect from day one, something is wrong with you. The problem is not your body. The problem is the lack of education, the lack of patience, and the lack of honest conversations about what breastfeeding really is. You were never not meant to breastfeed. You were simply not supported the way you deserved. There's something almost universal about postpartum. Everyone has an opinion, and almost no one has sensitivity. People comment on your body, your baby, your emotions, and especially your feeding choices. And the moment breastfeeding becomes difficult, the outside voices get louder than your own. Some say, just give a bottle, it's easier. Others whisper, if you were doing it right, it wouldn't hurt. And then there's the most damaging. Some women just aren't built for this. What they don't see is the internal collapse happening inside you. Because when a mother hears those words, she rarely argues back. She goes quiet. She internalizes. She carries that sentence like a secret bruise. Many women never tell anyone how those comments affected them. They don't admit the guilt, the shame, the feeling of being less of a mother. They don't talk about the nights they cried in silence while holding a pump. They don't talk about the anger, not at others, but at themselves. And society reinforces that silence. We celebrate the easy breastfeeding stories and hide the real ones. We celebrate the mothers who push through and forget the ones who needed help, but were judged instead. This silence is dangerous. It isolates women who are already emotionally fragile. It steals chances for proper support. And it makes mothers believe they are the only ones struggling, when in truth, the majority face difficulties at some point. The weight of opinions doesn't just influence decisions, it shapes identity. A single sentence can make a mother doubt her worth, her body, and her instincts. And when the world is loud, a mother's voice becomes very, very quiet, until something or someone helps her reclaim it. Every mother reaches a moment, sometimes subtle, sometimes explosive, when she realizes the problem was never her body. It was the narrative she was handed. For some, this turning point comes during a quiet feeding attempt that finally works. For others, it's meeting a lactation consultant who says, "You can do this. Let's try together." And for many, it's much later, when they look back and finally understand how badly they needed support, not judgment. This moment isn't about success or producing more milk. It's about reclaiming yourself. You start noticing things differently. The way your baby responds to you, not perfectly, but warmly. The subtle comfort your body feels when oxytocin finally flows. The realization that breastfeeding is not an exam you passed or failed. The truth that your worth was never tied to a feeding method, and with that comes a shift, a deep, internal exhale. You begin to question the comment that once defined you. Was I really not meant to breastfeed? Or did I simply deserve better guidance? You understand that every mother's journey is unique, that some breastfeed easily, others with difficulty, others not at all, and all are still complete, loving, devoted mothers. The turning point is not about proving someone wrong. It's about understanding that you were never broken in the first place. You were learning, you were healing, you were adapting, and you were doing everything with a heart that was already carrying so much. And now, for the first time in a long time, you feel something that was missing: ownership, clarity, strength, your voice. If you're watching this with tears in your eyes, with guilt in your chest, or with the echo of someone else's words haunting your mind, I want you to hear this clearly. You were never the problem. You are not weak. You are not incapable. You are not less of a mother because breastfeeding was hard, painful, confusing, or different from what you imagined. Motherhood is not measured in ounces. It is measured in presence, in love, in the 1,000 ways you show up for your baby every single day, even when you're exhausted, even when you're doubting, even when you feel like you have nothing left to give. The postpartum period is one of the most vulnerable stages a woman will ever experience. Your hormones are shifting rapidly. Your identity is being rebuilt. Your emotions sit right at the surface of your skin. And in the middle of all of that, you're expected to feed, soothe, and understand a brand new human being. No one is meant to do that perfectly. If breastfeeding is working for you, beautiful. If breastfeeding was a struggle, that doesn't define you. If you stopped, you made a decision out of love and survival. If you're still trying, you're courageous beyond measure. If you're healing, that healing matters. If you feel alone, you are not. Not anymore. Your story, with all its twists and tears, is not a failure. It is a testament to your strength, the kind that most people overlook because it happens quietly, inside your heart, during the hardest nights. And today, you get to rewrite the narrative. Not the one someone handed you, not the one you were pressured to believe, but the one that honors your truth, your body, and your journey. You are enough. You always were. Breastfeeding is never just about feeding. It is about identity, pressure, expectation, fear, instinct, biology, exhaustion, and a mother trying her absolute best in a moment of complete transformation. Today, we walked through something many women never speak about out loud. How one careless sentence can destroy confidence. How doubt turns into emotional and physical pain. What the science really says about breastfeeding. How harmful opinions silence mothers. And how, eventually, you reclaim your voice and your truth. But before you leave this video, I want to offer you something practical. Something you can use today. Whether you are breastfeeding, combo feeding, formula feeding, or simply trying to survive your postpartum journey. Practical, grounding tips for today. 1. Stop and breathe. Reset your nervous system 1 minute. Your body cannot produce or release milk or think clearly when it's in survival mode. Place one hand on your chest, one on your belly. Inhale slowly, exhale longer than you inhale. This tells your brain, I'm safe. 2. Seek support, not opinions, a lactation consultant, postpartum doula, or even one supportive friend can change everything. You don't need a crowd, you need someone who actually listens. 3. Reframe the story whenever the phrase "I wasn't meant to breastfeed" arises. Replace it with "I deserved better guidance." Watch how your body softens. 4. Protect your emotional space. Not everyone gets access to your postpartum heart. Set boundaries. Limit visits. Ignore comments that hurt more than they help. 5. Celebrate what you did, not what you think you failed. Fed is important. Loved is essential. Peace for the mother is priceless. Every act of care you give, whether through breastfeeding, formula, pumping, or holding, counts. Counts deeply. Motherhood has never been about perfection. It's about resilience. It's about trying again after the hardest nights. It's about loving a tiny human while relearning how to love yourself. So if someone once told you that you weren't meant to breastfeed, let today be the day you release that wound. You were meant to mother, and you're doing it beautifully.